This is Fat to Fierce. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. I'm your host, Amy English. Join me on this empowering adventure towards a healthier relationship with food, body, and self, one delicious bite at a time. With the theme about the body. So in the last 4 episodes of the Confidence Chronicles, we have talked about body awareness, body acceptance, body appreciation, body image, and last week where it was about body image and emotional eating. If you haven't listened to any of those episodes yet, I highly suggest just checking them out because it's going to take you through the process and just understand why each of those is so important when it comes to not only having a better body image, also to overcome emotional eating and to regain peace and confidence on your weight journey. Because let's face it, okay, most of the women that I work with want to remove weight. They have been on a weight loss journey for most of their lives, very similar to me. In fact, we have very similar stories. Every time I talk to somebody on a discovery call, it is just a reminder of how common and how similar our stories are. Yeah, we have our unique experiences and our own unique situations, but at the end of the day, many of us have been struggling with weight, with food, with our bodies for a very long time, years, if not decades. In fact, most of the time it's decades, okay? Because as I've shared before, most people start dieting, or the idea of a diet is introduced very early in life, usually as a child, which is also when the idea of food takes root, right? Of this relationship with food, where food becomes a source of rebellion, a source of comfort, the friend who doesn't judge, the witness, as we talked about in episode 35. Go and check that one out. I think that might be my favorite episode so far. All right. So today, I'd like to continue on that theme and talk about making friends with your body and why that is so important, and really the benefits of making friends with your body. And yes, like your physical form, becoming friends with your physical form. And I mean, when we think about this, doesn't it make a lot of sense that in this experience, in this life, we would want to be friends with our body? We would want to have that connection. See, let's face it, no one taught us how to connect with our bodies. That idea was never introduced in school. That idea wasn't introduced to me until I went through training to become a life coach. Actually, it was introduced when I hired my very first life coach in 2015. Right before I decided to become a life coach myself. Working with my very first life coach was when the idea of connecting with my physical form was brought up. I would have been 40 years old. Okay. So at 40 years old, I was introduced to the idea of reconnecting with my body, with my physical form. And not just always thinking with my brain, okay? Actually tuning into my body, to pay attention to the signals, to trust my gut instinct, to get familiar with my physical hunger cues as opposed to always going with the mental and the emotional hunger cues, okay? 40 years old before I learned how to do this. And just a quick side note, I never intended on this being my specialty as a life coach. I never said to myself, when I decided to go to life coach training that, I want to focus on emotional eating, or I want to help women have a better body image, or even that I want to help women with sustainable weight loss. That was never even an idea in my head when I started this process. My very first life coach was the one who, and brought up the idea that we could reconnect with our body. We dabbled a little bit in the food stuff when I worked with her, but working with her was primarily about my career. Because let me just take a step back. When I was finished with breast cancer treatment, there were two areas in my life that I wanted to focus on. One was my career, because I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up. And the second one was stress eating, because as you know, if you've listened to some of the previous episodes, it was the breast cancer diagnosis that led me to realize, oh my goodness, I'm stress eating and this is a problem and I'd really like to learn how to fix this. So after treatment, those were my two focuses, my two goals that I wanted to work on. And my very first life coach helped me learn to start paying attention to my body. And there are so many benefits to listening to your body, to paying attention to your body, to becoming a friend with your body. And I'm going to get into those specifically here in this episode. And also, one thing that I thought about last night as I was thinking of what I wanted to talk about today in this episode is there is zero benefit to shaming our bodies. I cannot think of one benefit to shaming, to hating, to disliking, to criticizing, or to judging my body. Not one benefit. And I think that somewhere along the way, we are led to believe that by criticizing or judging or being a jerk to our bodies, that is somehow going to motivate us to be better, to do better, to eat better, to lose weight, to exercise, to do all the things they say to do, right? That you can't possibly like your body if you want to change it. So in a way, you've got to push yourself. You've got to criticize it. You've got to be judgmental. But all that criticism and judgment and shame and just nasty self-talk does is keep us stuck. It doesn't motivate us. It does the opposite. It leaves us feeling depressed. It leaves us feeling discouraged, defeated, not helpful emotions when you're looking to make changes. And so what do we do instead? Well, this is where we want to learn to build a better relationship with our bodies by becoming friends with our bodies, becoming friends with this vessel that we've been given, gifted, assigned for this particular experience, for this life. And so today I want to share more about the benefits of doing that. What can you expect when you reconnect with your body? And to kick things off a little bit, what I'd like to offer, what can be helpful, is a helpful way to look at this, is to think of your body. Have you ever had a friend, maybe a friend that you haven't seen in many years, or a friend you haven't talked to in a really long time, but then when you get together with this friend, it's like no time has passed? Have you ever had a friend like that? I have. It's an amazing thing, right? Kind of think of your body that way. Okay? Your body as this friend that maybe you've lost touch over the years. Maybe, you've disconnected. Maybe there hasn't been much of a relationship. Maybe there's been some anger. Maybe there's been some frustration between you and your body, okay? Where, you really haven't paid much attention. There hasn't been much awareness. Acceptance, or appreciation over the years, okay? That's okay. We want to think of this as a reunion, a reconnecting with a long lost friend. And just like you would with an actual human friend, right? How can you build on that relationship? And why is it so important? Well, here's why. Okay. And first of all, I just want to say, as someone who has done this deep inner work and who has, I have shared this before on this episode, on this podcast, that there are times in my life where I absolutely hated my body. I used to talk about wanting to cut the fat off my body. I could never have imagined the idea of becoming friends with my body. Like, what? So if you're out there thinking, what is this woman talking about? And I can't even imagine becoming friends with my body. Like, I just want you to know I was there once too, and I get it. And that's why I want to share, coming from where I came from, of this idea that I could not possibly like my body until I got to a goal weight, whatever that goal weight was going to be, like whatever that goal weight was for the time, right? It's just nonsense, because here's the thing. Disliking my body, or just completely ignoring my body, was not helping me get to any goals. In fact, it really kind of kept me in a mode of self-sabotage, where I kept hurting my goals, where I kept like going against my goals, both with food and just the way that I acted towards my body. And it kept me not only just with food, but in an emotional state that wasn't beneficial for working towards goals. Okay. Because when you are so, when you're ignoring your body, when you're disliking your body, when you're fighting with your body, when all of that is going on, as I mentioned earlier, it just really keeps you in a defeated, demoralized, negative space that makes it hard to accomplish anything. Okay. Without further ado, shall I just jump in and talk about these benefits of reconnecting with this long lost friend, your body, becoming friends with your body again? Because that's the other thing. Okay. As I mentioned in episode 35 last week, none of us came into this world disliking or hating our bodies. Okay. This is a learned behavior that was introduced at some point in our lives. So when you think about it, at some point in time, there may have been a healthy relationship with the body. There may have been a decent relationship with the body, but somewhere along the way that got lost in translation. It's very common as women, there's this real importance placed on, being thin and looking a certain way. And so we start to dislike our bodies because they don't look like everybody else's. And if you grew up in the 80s like I did, you know it was splashed all over all of the magazines, right? There was like this unattainable goal that we were all trying to chase. And while we were doing that, we were just hating ourselves, disliking ourselves very strongly. And it's just no way to live. Okay. It's just not fun. And so here's what happens. Here are the benefits to reconnecting and making friends with your body. Without further ado, let me just keep this on. Let me stay on course here. Okay. So number one, you learn to listen to your body. You start listening to your body. You start paying attention to the signals your body is saying. You get familiar with your physical hunger. And why is this so important? Because all too often we are paying attention to the mental and emotional hunger. That's the hunger that we're feeding. Okay. That's emotional eating. That's the, I could really go for something sweet, or I could really go for something crunchy. I had a bad day. I just need a snack. Oh, that chocolate looks good. Okay. That's mental and emotional hunger. And when we're only going based off of that, we're not paying enough attention to our physical hunger. Because there are times when mental and emotional hunger will kick in that we're not physically hungry. And when you reconnect with your body and start working with your body as a friend instead of as a foe, you can really start to tune in and pay attention to that physical hunger. And so when the mental and emotional hunger starts calling, you get to check in and say, am I physically hungry right now? And if the answer is no, then you get to decide, okay, I'm not physically hungry right now. Do I really want to eat this? And that right there, you making that choice in the moment, that's you taking your power back. That is you consulting with your friend, your body, and making a conscious decision in the moment as to whether or not you want to eat. And the reason that is so powerful is because you're no longer just going based off of the mental and the emotional urge, which is what ultimately like leaves you thinking that food is in control, right? So in this moment when you're taking your power back and you're making that conscious choice, listen, I know I've said this before. It really doesn't matter whether you eat the thing or not once you've paused to check in and ask the question. The whole point is that you have the whole point is that you have taken control. Like you're making a conscious choice. That's you in charge, not food, not the emotions, right? That's powerful. And that is going to make all the difference as you continue on your journey, just being able to check in and recognize physical hunger. Okay. So that's number one. Also, another huge benefit to reconnecting with your body is you learn how your body operates. You learn how your body works and how your body functions. This is huge because you can start to pay attention to how certain foods feel when you eat them, how certain beverages feel when you drink them. And yeah, I'm talking about everything from water to alcohol, okay? One of the reasons I don't drink alcohol anymore, or I should say I rarely drink alcohol anymore, is because it just doesn't feel good for me physically. And that's really been since perimenopause started. So it's been the last couple of years. I don't feel good when I drink, especially wine. I really do think it's the sugar. But anyway, so because I have this relationship with my body and my priority is helping my body and myself feel my best, I'm very, very picky on what I put into my body. Now, not all the time, because I will eat sugar from time to time, or I did have a beverage when we were in Ireland, but it's like 99% of the time I am like, what's going to feel good, right? I'm paying attention because again, I'm thinking of my body as a friend. And I don't know about you, but when I have a good friend, I want to take care of them. I want to lift them up. I want to support them. I want to be helpful, right? Not harmful. It's not an enemy. It's a friend. And so, yeah, when your body is your friend, you are paying attention. You're learning how your body operates and how your body responds to certain foods and beverages. And this goes a long way when it comes to the scale. And here's why. So what's really fascinating to me, and I know I've talked about this before, is that I know how my weight will fluctuate based on certain things that I eat. If I eat too much sodium, my weight will go up. If I eat too much sugar, my weight will go up. If I have too much flour, products that have flour in them, my weight will go up. This is not a problem. It is just how my body works. It's very different than other bodies. I've had clients who will eat, things like, I can remember this one particular example. My client was kind of going through what she had eaten the day before, and she had mac and cheese and she had lost a couple pounds. And I was like, wow, because I know my body, if I eat mac and cheese, I'm automatically up 3 to 5 pounds. Okay. That's how my body operates. And I know that because I've gotten to know my body. My body is my friend, right? So it just helps you know how your body operates. And that's not only like recognizing how food works in your body and beverages, but also how food feels. Like on the mac and cheese topic, I don't feel very good after I eat mac and cheese. Okay. Not at all. I very rarely eat something like that because it just doesn't feel good physically. And again, we're taking care of our friend. We're taking care of our body, right? We're being mindful. And this also comes into play with exercise. I ride my bike every day. It's a stationary bike here in my room. And I do a minimum 5 miles every day. Some days I don't, okay? I should say it's like every 5 to 6 days. And when I don't do it, my body feels very different than when I do it. So even like on the days that I don't ride the bike, I try to do something like a walk or get some sort of movement in, because it's kind of like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. When you don't move for a day, you're kind of like stiff and I need the oil can, right? So yeah, getting to know your body, getting to know how it operates with food, with beverages, with exercise. And so for me, again, feeling good is the priority. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make sure I'm going to move for at least 20 to 30 minutes, right? Because it feels better and I want to help my friend feel its best. All right. That's how that works. Okay. Treating your body with respect, feeling it, moving it in a way that works. Respect goes a long way. Respect is going to go much further. There's going to be more of a positive impact with respect than there is with disrespect. And this may be a controversial take on this, but I do see, like, when I think back to the way I used to eat, completely disregarding my body and just eating because it tasted good or just eating it because it was like this emotional and mental hunger, that was disrespecting my body. And again, okay, we're not saying food is good or bad, but when we're focusing on more pleasure food, all the pleasure food, okay, like all the sugary, fatty, deep fried things that I used to eat and thought I loved, that wasn't very respectful towards my body. We all know what the overconsumption of pleasure food does to our bodies. And again, everybody is different, sure, but over like too much of that is typically not helpful for any human body, all right? And can cause a lot of complications. So having respect, starting to treat the body with respect, making that the body a priority, like a good friend, will have very like impacts, like a overall, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Very positive impact for the rest of your life. All right. Another huge benefit to becoming friends with your body, and it kind of goes with everything I've been saying here, is that your eating and exercise habits will change. They just will. When you start treating your body better, when you start treating your body like a friend, when you make feeling good a priority, and when you start respecting your body, things are going to change. You're going to want to fuel it in a way that feels best. You're going to want to move it in a way that feels best. And on the exercise topic, because this is an important take here. So back in the day, I used to do like the fit body boot camps, like the really intense HIIT type trainings. And it's interesting because I kept getting hurt. Like I had a tennis elbow one time. I tripped on a shipping rope and sprained my ankle. I hurt my shoulder. Like I always came out of that with some sort of an issue. I loved doing it, but my body was very clearly like, no, this is not in alignment. We don't want to be doing this. And so at the time, I was under the mindset that you have to exercise hard. You have to make sure you're sweating. You have to get that heart rate up. You have to be sweaty, or you have to be sweaty and like really intense, burn X number of calories in order for it to be effective. Okay. I was not listening to my body. I was listening to all the messaging that was coming from outside of myself. I was not focusing on my own intuitive response. Okay. And when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I couldn't do those trainings anymore, right? And one of the types of exercise I started doing after treatment was walking. And I will never forget the first walk. And I thought to myself, this is pitiful. This is pitiful. I'm walking. This is nothing. This is useless. I'm not burning enough calories. I'm not sweating enough. Okay. That was my mindset at the time. But here's what happened. I was like, okay, Amy, like, let's just do this and see how it goes. And what I realized is that as I was listening to my body, as I started paying attention to my friend here, she loved it. My body loved walking. My body craved walks especially walks in the winter when we lived up north. Those were my favorite. Walking became the thing. And that's why even now to this day, I never do those high intensity workouts anymore. My body is like a clear, no, we don't want to do those. So I typically will ride the bike. Always, like walking is always a good one for me. I'll do some weights, but very light. I don't do anything heavy. Pilates is a big one. I listen to my body, and that's another benefit to becoming friends with your body. And last but not least, in terms of and yes, I do have some of these written down, which is why I keep looking down here. Anyway, one of the benefits to becoming friends with your body on this journey, okay, is you stop rushing, okay? You stop rushing. There's nothing to rush for because how do I say this? It changes, it shifts. It doesn't change the goal because I've still been on a weight loss journey, okay? But it shifts it in a way where it's not so time sensitive anymore. It's not a rush. It's kind of like, well, hear me out. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's not going to change how I treat my body. Regardless of when I get to where I want to be, I'm still going to be doing all the same things. Where before, okay, try this on for size. Before, I would be on a diet and I couldn't wait to be done with the diet so that I could, have my favorite chips, hamburger and french fries, or chips and dip, or cake and ice cream, or whatever, right? I was always like, let's get the weight off. We got to go fast, fast, fast. And I couldn't wait to get that meal that I was restricting myself from having, or I couldn't, wait to go back to the way I was eating before, or stop doing so much exercise, or whatever the case may be, right? It's like you're in this rush to lose all this weight and get it over and done with so that you can enjoy your things. This happens a lot in vacation mode. Like people will be so strict and so restrictive until they go on vacation. And then it's like they go completely wild and eat all the things. All right. When you become friends with your body, that whole, whatever you want to call it, that whole thing changes. It doesn't happen anymore. When it's time to go on vacation, like when we went to Ireland, yeah, I knew I was going to have some different things that I knew I was going to have Irish stew. Okay. My goal was to have Irish stew at any restaurant we went to. And I think I came close to doing that. But anyway, so yeah, I was going to try different things, but it didn't change the way that I eat on a normal basis. I continued eating the way that I do. So even on the nights that I had Irish stew for dinner, like I had something light with it, or I had like a light breakfast or lunch or whatever. Like I'm not like, oh, like got to eat, lettuce for 7 days so that I can have a burger on, the next day. No. When you're friends with your body, when you're reconnected with your body and you're paying attention, this becomes the lifestyle change, okay? This is how it becomes sustainable, where you can still enjoy your burger and fries on occasion when you want, but it's not like you're like, how do I explain this? You're like, okay, I got to be really, really, really good so that I can completely binge afterwards or go back to the way I was eating. No, this just becomes your new normal of taking care of your body, of really balancing the pleasure to power food ratio, to paying attention, to being aware, to taking extra good care of your body, your friend. Okay. This is how you make the lifestyle change sustainable. I can't emphasize that enough. All right. I hope this has been helpful and enjoyable, and I will see you next week. Bye. Are you ready to take control of your eating, embrace your body, and boost your confidence? Then let's get fierce. Start your Fat to Fierce journey today. Go to amyenglishcc.com for more resources and to book your discovery call.